Is CPP running out of money? Well, according to a recent report, we have the answer. So let's take a look at it. CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, is one of the hottest topics and discussions as you get closer to retirement. When to take it? What is the best time for you to take your CPP? Now, the average Canadian takes their Canadian Pension Plan around age 62. You can take it anywhere between age 60 and age 70. And we've done many videos on the benefits of taking it early and the benefits of taking it late. Now, most people take it a little bit earlier at 62 because of the fear or the thought process that it might run out of money, which is a very legitimate fear. If you think that a bucket of money that's there for everyone to take is going to run out of money, well, naturally, instincts kick in and you want to take it as soon as possible. I get it. But is that bucket actually running out of money? Is it going to be there for you long term? Are people like myself and even younger that are putting 6% of our paychecks in and getting matched from our employer, is that money going to be there later on? Or are we just funding the current retirees? Another concern that's popped up over the last year or two is Alberta splitting from the Canadian Pension Plan and what that could mean for the rest of Canada and for Albertans. How much money are they going to strip out of the Canadian Pension Plan bucket for themselves? Is it going to happen? And is this going to cost all of us long term? But before we jump to conclusions, let's actually take a step back and look at actuarial data. Let's actually look at the experts, independent experts, and the review and case studies they've done around CPP, and most recently, what they've come up with. The first article I want to highlight is advisor.ca, which is something I'm subscribed to here. If you haven't checked out advisor.ca, I encourage you to do so. A lot of good articles on there geared for financial planners, but as a consumer, it's very knowledgeable. A lot of insight here. So this is titled Current Fiscal Policy Sustainable Over the Long Term, done by the PBO, or the Parliamentary Budget Officer. Now, who is a Parliamentary Budget Officer? Let's jump into that. So this is a neutral, non-partisan party independent of government. He assists senators and members of parliament in their work. The PBO is responsible for providing economic and financial analysis to Parliament for the purpose of raising the quality of parliamentary debate and promoting greater budget transparency and accountability. So the PBO is independent. Of course, anytime you read research, independent research, like who is the person doing that? Do they stand on one side or the other? Do they have a vested interest in this? So the PBO, no vested interest in this at all. They're coming up with, is this sustainable? Do we need to make changes to the current system so that it's going to be there for younger Canadians when they hit retirement later on? We'll link this article below, but it talks about a few things. So this report aims to identify whether changes to current fiscal policy are required to avoid unsustainable government debt accumulation. So it goes through that, talks about that a little bit, and what percentage of GDP they can spend. Currently, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, Ontario, and Alberta are fiscally sustainable and have room to increase spending or reduce taxes, ranging from 1.4% of provincial GDP in Quebec to 0.3% in Ontario and elsewhere. So the report also finds that some are fiscally unsustainable. So it talks about that. So again, I encourage you to read this. The part I want to jump to here, and I have another article here in a second, I want to go through that's even more important, but the current structure of the CPP and QPP is sustainable over the PBO's 75-year projection horizon, the report said. There is a fiscal room to increase benefits or reduce contributions by 0.2% of Canadian GDP for the CPP and 0.3% for Quebec's GDP for the QPP, so long as the net assets to GDP position remains at its initial value after 75 years. So is CPP running out of money? Well, according to the PBO, it's sustainable for at least 75 years. And so the report that they did ran things for 75 years, not just CPP and QPP, but many other factors and numbers. But the CPP and QPP are in a great place for the next 75 years. Now, the next article I want to jump into goes even deeper, and I encourage you to read it. It's over 200 pages, but if you're somebody that's sitting on the fence around CPP, QPP, when should I take it? Is it going to be there? I don't know. A little bit skeptical. I'm probably going to take it early, but it's going to cost me money. I encourage you to read the next article I'm going to show you because it breaks down all the detail and shows you, hey, what about if rate of returns are better? What about if they're worse? What about inflation? It talks about a lot of the concerns that a lot of you viewers have around CPP and the performance of CPP and the sustainability of CPP. So let's jump into the next article. The CPP IB, the CPP Investment Board, is the committee of professionals that oversees the Canadian pension plan. It's independent from the government, and every 3 years they have to get audited. And you can see here a major source of strength in the CPP funds long-term resilience. Every 3 years, the Office of the Chief Actuary of Canada, an independent federal body that provides checks and balances of the future costs of CPP, assesses the state of the plan. Now, the last time this was done, it was in December of 2021. It will be done again December of this year, 2024. The report usually takes about 9 or 10 months to come out. So it's a delayed report. There's a lot of research that needs to be done. So in about a year from recording this video, we should have the next report. And I assume, based on where things have been, performance of the plan, we might even be in a better position than what was forecasted in the 2021 report. Now, if you've never heard of the Chief Actuary of Canada, I don't blame you, but it is a third-party independent, again, much like the PBO, and you can go to their website and learn a lot more about the Chief Actuary and what they do, how they do it. Again, it's not just a CPP that they run many, many things. So if you're someone with a defined benefit plan in any province, federal, if you work for the armed forces or were in the armed forces, there's many pension plans that the actuary will review every year, and those actuarial data and reports are on their website. So if you're wondering, like, how sustainable is my pension, a lot of you that have defined benefit pension plans with the government, like, how do you know it's good? Well, it's done in a report every few years by the Actuary of Canada. So again, you can read those reports on the same website. So the actuarial report from December 31st, 2021 is online. We'll link it below so you can read through that. But again, the key highlight there goes back to the same words and language as the PBO, which is the CPP and QPP are sustainable for at least 75 years, and that is stress tested. So much like running out of money in retirement has to be a major concern and be planned out, thought out, built out in a proper retirement plan, running out of CPP money is also a concern, as that's a major income source for many Canadians. You've paid into it, and you need to make sure you're getting your money out of it. So as we read actuarial data like this, reports that are done by professionals that say, look, based on current situation, on worst case, on best case, here's how things lie. And CPP and QPP are in a great place for many, many, many years. In fact, it'll be there for my kids. Based on the current data, it'll be there for my kids who are 5, 7, 9, and 11. That's great information for me to have, knowing that as they start to work and pay into CPP, it's going to be sustainable and something that will provide an income for them in their retirement. So if you're someone that's getting close to taking CPP or ability to take CPP, make sure you talk to your financial planner, read reports like this if you're of concern that it's going to run out of money, and make sure you're taking it at the best time for you. So many of you watching this video are deciding on timing around when to take your Canadian pension plan or your Quebec pension plan based on friends, coworkers, or someone else's opinion. Everyone's situation is very different. And when you hit retirement, there's a lot of tax planning ability. And the timing on when you take your CPP and QPP affects everything else going on. And so as you reach retirement, don't think about CPP, QPP as one bucket and old age security as another, and your RIF and your TFSA and your pension and your LIRA and everything that you have. These need to be looked at together. It's a funnel that comes down to the very bottom, and it needs to be as efficient as possible. And efficiency comes when you take all of these income sources and assets and make them work together. And that's what your financial planner should be doing for you. A proper retirement plan takes everything that you have, all your assets, liabilities, your whole financial picture, and properly funnels it down. And for many of you, you're looking at all these things in independent buckets or silos. And okay, I'm going to do this with this account and this with this account, but you're not looking at how these accounts actually affect each other. And the Canadian pension plan probably affects everything else more than any other account. When you take it, how you structure it. So it needs to integrate with everything else. And that's why I say the best time to take your CPP and QPP is going to be different for everybody, depending on your situation. When to start taking your RIF, when to pull money out of your TFSA if you have one. All these things are different for each one of you. But you need to make sure that you're looking at all of these assets together into one bucket. Because if you start looking at them as independent silos, You're going to pay a lot more tax. You're going to have less money in your pocket. And as things funnel down, you're going to have a wider funnel at the bottom. And that funnel is taxes. There's going to be more taxes going out. So as you come up to the decision on when to take your CPP or QPP, make sure you do your research. Don't lean on those people around you that have maybe taken it early and regret it or haven't done their proper research. Do your own research, come up with your own answer, and figure out when the best time is for you.